if I'm being honest with you. Kid, most books and courses I encountered in my trading life didn't make me money, and a good number of them actually slowed me down. Not because they were useless, but because I wasn't ready to hear what they were really saying. In the early years, I collected trading knowledge, the way some people collect trophies, stacking books on my desk and certificates on my wall, convinced that accumulation equaled competence, when in reality, all I was doing was avoiding the harder work of execution discipline and self-examination. The first books I loved were the ones that promised clarity and control, the ones that laid out clean systems, precise rules, and the comforting illusion that if you followed the steps closely enough, the market would reward you fairly. I devoured them, memorized them, quoted them, and then watched myself break their rules under pressure without hesitation. That's when I learned the first uncomfortable truth about trading education. The value of a book or course isn't measured by how inspired you feel while consuming it, but by how it changes your behavior when money is on the line. Some of the most influential books in my life didn't impress me at first. They irritated me. They felt vague, philosophical, even frustrating, because they didn't give me answers. They gave me mirrors. Books on trading psychology and risk didn't tell me what to trade. They forced me to confront how I traded. At the time, I wanted tactics. What I needed was perspective. I remember reading about probability expectancy and randomness and feeling disappointed because there was no edge I could immediately exploit, only the slow realization that my obsession with being right was fundamentally incompatible with long-term survival. Those lessons didn't sink in overnight. They followed me through losing streaks, through drawdowns that stripped away confidence, through moments where the only thing standing between me and self-destruction was the memory of a sentence I once read and didn't fully understand at the time. Courses were no different. The flashy ones came and went, promising shortcuts, secret methods, insider perspectives. Most of them faded quickly because they were built around outcomes instead of process. The courses that stayed with me were the quieter ones, often poorly marketed, taught by people who spoke less about profits and more about risk preparation and restraint. They didn't promise consistency. They explained why inconsistency was unavoidable and how to survive it. One course taught me something no chart ever did, that the hardest skill in trading isn't analysis. It's doing the same sensible thing over and over again, while your emotions beg you to do something else. Another drilled risk management into me so relentlessly that it rewired how I thought about exposure, drawdown, and survival. At the time, it felt conservative, almost limiting. Years later, I realized it was the reason I was still in the game. What separated the resources that mattered from those that didn't was depth. Shallow material makes you feel smarter. Deep material makes you uncomfortable. The books and courses that changed my trajectory didn't give me new indicators. They removed excuses. They forced me to accept uncertainty as permanent, to stop searching for certainty in markets designed to deny it, and to build structures that respected probability instead of fighting it. Over time, my relationship with trading education changed. I stopped consuming widely and started revisiting selectively. I reread the same books during different phases of my career and found entirely new meanings in them. I recommend them the way an old soldier recommends training, not because it makes you invincible, but because it increases your odds of surviving the next battle. The right books and courses won't give you confidence. They'll take it away and replace it with humility. They won't tell you what the market will do. They'll prepare you for what you'll do when the market does something you didn't expect. And if you approach trading education with that mindset, not hunting for secrets, but looking for structure, the material that truly matters will find you slowly, often painfully. Usually after you've paid enough tuition to finally appreciate it. Because the real purpose of trading education isn't to make trading easy. It's to make you capable of operating in an environment that will never be easy. And that understanding only truly lands when you realize that the best books and courses don't teach you how to win. They teach you how to stay in the game long enough for winning to even be possible. And that realization settles in the moment. You stop asking, which book will change your life, and start asking, which one will still matter to you years from now when you've been tested enough to understand it, because the resources that truly matter don't announce themselves with hype. They reveal themselves through timing. In the later stages of my career, I stopped chasing new material altogether and started returning to the same few books and lessons that had quietly shaped my thinking when I wasn't paying attention. What changed wasn't the content, it was me. The same pages I once skimmed now read like warnings, written specifically for moments I had already lived through. A chapter on probability made sense only after I'd experienced long stretches where nothing worked and realized randomness wasn't my enemy, my expectations were. A lesson on discipline finally landed after I had broken my own rules enough times to feel the cost in my bones. That's when I understood that education and trading isn't linear. You don't consume it once and move on. You circle back to it as your scars deepen and your questions mature. I also learned to distrust recommendations that came without context. A great book in the hands of an impatient trader becomes a weapon against himself. A powerful course given to someone chasing shortcuts turns into justification for overconfidence. The value of any trading resource depends entirely on where you are in your journey and whether you're willing to let it challenge you instead of confirm what you already believe. The best materials I encountered didn't motivate me to trade more. They convinced me to trade less. They didn't expand my sense of possibility. They narrowed my focus to what actually mattered. They taught me that mastery is subtractive, not additive, and that most progress comes from removing bad habits rather than acquiring new techniques. And as time went on, I noticed something else. The traders who kept searching for the next book or course were often the same ones avoiding responsibility for their own execution. Learning became a hiding place. Real education begins when you stop looking outward and start integrating what you already know. That doesn't mean books and courses lose value. It means their role changes. They stop being solutions and start being companions, reminders of principles you must live, not ideas you simply agree with. Today, when someone asks me for my favorite trading books or courses, I don't give them a long list. I tell them to find the ones that make them uncomfortable, the ones that don't promise results, the ones that talk more about behavior than tactics, because those are the ones that will still be there for you when the market humbles you again. And it will. It always does. The real gift of the right book or course isn't insight, it's timing. It shows up when you're finally ready to hear it. And if you're patient enough to let that happen, trading education stops feeling like consumption and starts feeling like apprenticeship, a slow, often frustrating process of internal change that no checklist can capture. And kid, if there's one thing I hope you take from my experience, it's this. Don't ask what to read next. Ask what lesson you keep avoiding, because the resource that will matter most to you is usually the one pointing straight at that blind spot, waiting quietly for the day you're ready to stop looking for answers and start taking responsibility for applying them. And if this story helped you rethink how you approach books and courses in trading, take a moment to leave a comment with your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe so I can keep sharing the lessons the market spent a lifetime teaching me.